Welcome back to Podiatry Marketing. I'm your host, Jim McDonald. Joined as always with my trusty co-host, Tyson Franklin. Tyson, how are you doing today?
I'm fantastic today. Big Jim hotting up in North Queensland.
Nice, nice. Yeah, still cool here in Canada. No
Hey, when's
complaints.
it start snowing where you are?
End of November, like into January or into December, kind of that time frame is pretty normal.
You always have a white Christmas?
Most of the time, yeah, most of the time.
Phew, that'd be nice. Well, I'm going to be in the States this Christmas. Fingers crossed. We're going to be in Phoenixville. Fingers crossed. 50-50 chance of snow, usually,
There you
where we're
go.
staying. So we want to wake up. Want to go to bed that night. We're going, no, we're not going to get snow. And then you wake up the next morning, you see the snowflakes coming down like one of those Christmas miracle American TV shows where it always snows on Christmas Day.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyway, let's get on to today's subject, which is how to increase podiatry referrals pretty much by getting on your professional referrers and non-professional referrers radar. That's what we're going to be talking about.
I love hearing about these different referral opportunities and your insights here. So yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, and even when I put this one together, there's a few things that I mentioned here. Look, we've talked about referrals in some of the other episodes, but when I was putting this one together specifically, there was a few new ideas sort of popped in my head. So if you think you've heard it all before, you are wrong. So the goal of this episode is just to pretty much help podiatrists get on the radar of the doctors, physios, chiropractors, could be personal trainers, might be running coaches, just anyone that can actually refer patients to you. You want to be seen and heard. You want to get on their radar. You want them to know who you are. And that means that you're actually being noticed, plus not just being noticed, but it's being watched. When people start to notice you and they see you again, then they start to actually pay attention. And then they start watching to see what you're doing. And this long term does increase referrals. I don't believe that referrals are just going to flock into you overnight from one visit or one talk or just doing one thing. It's an accumulation of things over a period of time.
Yeah, you've got to build momentum through consistency. It's not, it's not going to be one blow with the stone and it knocks down mighty Goliath and all the patients come flocking to the clinic. It's consistency over time for sure.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of things recently where somebody go, oh, we've got these 4 AI hacks that will just have patients flowing through your practice, 74 new patients next month. Yeah. Here's Stan. Stan will tell you how many he got. And they'll be talking about, oh, referral marketing is dead. That is the biggest BS. Referral marketing to me is still one of the best types of marketing that you can do. And once it's set up, and like I said, this is a long-term game. It's not something you do once and think you don't have to do it anymore. Because when someone's referring someone to you, it's all about trust and reliability. They want to know that their patients are safe, are in safe hands. So when a doctor refers a patient to you, they're putting their kahunas on the chopping block. Because if they see you and you're an idiot, then that reflects on them because the patient will be thinking, how dare you refer me to that person who was unprofessional, didn't know what they're doing, couldn't answer my problem. It was a waste of time and a waste of money. So you've got to get into the mindset of the referrer and why it's so important to them that they make the right decision.
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity for them to, kind of pass along that trust to you, and you have to be aware of that. It's kind of a sacred thing. A patient has multiple patients have bad experiences after referring to you, maybe it's just one, more than likely that kind of referral stream is not going to be there much longer.
No, and it's also most health professionals are really busy. So you need to make it easy for them to remember and recommend you. And that's why just doing one visit, they might refer someone to you the next day and you can high five yourself and high five your front desk person and go, hey, that's great. Look at that. That one visit worked. That'll probably be the only visit you'll get because once they did it that day, they get busy and they forget. So you need to maintain that relationship.
Yeah, definitely have to maintain that relationship, but also just awareness that you're there and kind of all the different types of care you provide.
Yeah. And that leads me on to my second point, which is about building visibility and awareness. So you might introduce yourself in person for starters. You visit your local GP or it might be a gym or it might be a physio clinic. Yeah, I'll dive into the next part. And one thing I want to point out is stop complaining that these people will not see you. I've heard so many people say, oh, since COVID, I can't get an appointment to see the local GP, the local physio, or the local gyms or personal trainers. Well, you can if you're persistent. You just need to be persistent, and you can't ring up and say, oh, can I come in next week? You might need to plan 3-4 months ahead. Professional referrals, yes, can be slightly more difficult, but gym owners, personal trainers, they are not hard to actually try and see. You just need to actually go and do it. But if you're finding it difficult to go and see them, then attend professional networking events or local, the Chamber of Commerce. A lot of these people attend those events. So if you can't get into their clinic and see them, try and find out through your network, where do these people go? Where do they hang out? And then you just need to actually put some time aside and attend those events as well.
Yeah, everybody's busy, right? But if you're persistent and, like you said, kind of go where the money is or go where the people are at, you're going to be much more successful in having FaceTime, getting some, kind of interactions with these folks that kind of, where you can kind of show who you are, but also showing them that you really are looking forward to helping them out as far as for the betterment of their patients and such. So it's really something where the kind of the eager beaver mentality. You can't just be you can't just be
Sorry.
like,
The eager beaver got me. Sorry, we don't beavers, but I know what you mean.
but you just can't be like, sitting in your office, hoping patients are going to flock in there. You have to be out there and meeting folks and being a part of the community.
I know you get nowhere being lazy in this profession. Not if you're trying to build a business, but like you're a huge fan of LinkedIn. I know that, Jim. I see a lot of the stuff that you post on there, but use LinkedIn to connect with health professionals that are in your area. Find out if they're on there, send them messages and try and connect with them. They will get the message come through. So that's a simple way to connect with them. But share educational posts and that tag a referrer's profession, for example. So you could do a post on LinkedIn and it says, here's what a podiatrist can help physiotherapists with their patients post-op. Now, if you're a physiotherapist, you're going to go, oh, I'm going to have a read of that. And if those physiotherapists, if you're already connected with the physiotherapists in your area through LinkedIn, they're going to see those articles. And all of a sudden they'll be going, oh, I never even thought about that. Orthopedic surgeons are the same thing. They've done surgery on a patient. If that patient came into you as a podiatrist, what would you do to help them post-op? So that's an article you could write and then somehow get it out to those health professionals.
Yeah, it's definitely relevant for those other healthcare professionals, and it's a way to engage with them in a, kind of a relevant, helpful way. So I think there are definitely, ways of making those connections online. If you, like I said, if you don't have the time or you prefer not to go out into the community, there's definitely ways online to build community and to really connect with others.
Yeah. So here's an idea. I said I've got some new ideas I'm going to throw out. Write this one down, people, if you're not driving your car. So you could write to, say, for example, a physiotherapist. You say, I'm writing an article for, you name the publication, or it might be just an online article. And I was wondering, if I emailed you, could I get your professional opinion on this? Because you want to use part of their professional opinion in that article. If they say, no, sorry, bugger off, then you move on. But if they say yes, send them the email and then follow up and say, hey, can we meet for a coffee so I can show you the final product that I've written? If they've already said yes to read your article, give you a little bit of a feedback on it, I reckon they will say yes to a coffee. And that's just a great way of, once again, we're trying to get on their radar and we're trying to build connections.
Yeah, it's much more of a kind of a way to kind of ease into that meeting or that kind of initial professional relationship. If you just sent them a random direct message out of the blue saying like, "Hey, let's go get coffee,"
Yeah,
someone's
like,
gonna be
yeah.
like, "Okay, psycho, like no thanks, I'm a busy person." But if you kind of show them, a little bit of something that might be beneficial to them, in kind of in that way, it kind of warms them up in a way they might be a little bit more open to the idea of meeting up in the future.
Well, if I like to, when I think of ideas, I like to turn it around and go, okay, if a physiotherapist reached out to me and said, hey, I'm a new physiotherapist in the area, I'm writing an article about ankle problems. I was wondering, can I email you my article? Would you be able to read through it just and put a little comment on if I referred them to a podiatrist, what the podiatrist do? It just needs to be 2 paragraphs. Could you write something for my article? I would not say no. I would go, not a problem, send it over. I'd read through it. I'd give them my 2 cents worth and I would send it back. If they contact me and said, hey, would you like to catch up and have a coffee? I really appreciate it. I want to buy you a coffee as a thank you. What morning would you like to meet? And straight away, I would know who this person is. So put yourself in the position, if somebody was doing this to you, how would you respond? And that's how I reckon you normally know whether your idea or way of connecting with them is a good idea. Because if you respond positively, then more than likely it's a pretty good idea.
Totally agree.
So the third thing is position yourself as the expert. So provide clear referral guidelines, when to send patients your way. So I think it's important to let your professional referrers know what you want to see and let them know what you don't want to see. There's no point in them referring patients to you and it's a problem that you have no interest in treating whatsoever. And all of a sudden they're going to get annoyed. Oh, I've sent you 3 patients this month and those patients have come back. You said, oh, you don't treat wounds, Tyson. No, of course I don't. So it'd be good to let them know you don't do that. But develop brochures. It could be PDFs. It might be some short videos that are targeted towards GPs, physios, or coaches if that's who you sort of want to connect with. Share relevant case studies or success stories that highlight collaborative outcomes where you may have worked with another physio in the past, and present at local professional evenings, or even go out and do lunch and learns if that's what you want to do. If you want to go out there and visit them, they are a little bit more difficult to organize, but can be done. Or you could start a podcast in your area. I always say that starting a podcast in your area, positioning yourself as an expert, inviting these health professionals onto your podcast to share their expertise. I'm yet to have someone on my podcast that I've done an episode with that I have lost connection with. Usually all of them, I'm still in contact with them somehow. You'd be the same, wouldn't you, Jim? Oh, we had Don on.
Yeah,
we had Don on. So Don's connected with us, but he already was.
Yeah, this 2-man podcast, but I think that it's a great way to have open and honest conversations with people, but just get to know people by having them on the podcast. Like you said, it's gonna, number one, it'll help showcase who they are, who they treat, or maybe what their business is like, so people can get to know them more on a personal level, and it's a way for them to kind of promote themselves in a way. But then also, like you said, it builds a connection. You've had a half an hour discussion with someone, and you feel like you know that person. So it's a little bit more of a stronger bond or a connection when you kind of have them on that way. And because it can benefit both people, right? Like I said, it gets visibility for the business or for their practice. At the same time, you kind of, build a kind of a personal or a professional connection there.
Yeah, I've been saying this for years now. And I know if I was a podiatrist in town and a local physiotherapist or chiropractor contacted me and said, and once again, this is what I'm saying, you put yourself in their shoes. They contacted me and said, hey, Tyson, would you like to come on our podcast and talk about podiatry? I will be putting this in my newsletter and sending it out to 4,500 patients that this episode has dropped. And you're going to be talking about heel pain, for example, and the common causes. I would walk over broken glass to do that episode for a local chiropractor with 4,500 people in the database. It's going, you'd have to be crazy to say no. So they're probably going to say yes to you as well. You just need, once again, the structure on how to set the podcast up.
For sure.
Such a good medium. So anyway, the fourth point is communicate effectively after a referral. So send timely reports and thank you letters to the referrers. If you're not doing that, then you're crazy. Keep the communication short, professional, and relevant, showing that you respect the time. Don't give them this big, long, like if they've sent a patient, you say, can you just fix this up? And it's very basic what they've asked for. Right back to them when you fix them. I say, yes, I fixed them up, a couple of pointers, but don't rave on with a whole pile of podiatry jargon that they do not care. What? Well, they don't care and they don't understand it. So do not do. You hear that dog?
Yeah.
Someone's just done a delivery.
Okay.
They'll figure it. They'll know. Okay. Can you still hear the dog?
Yep.
See, on Zoom, you wouldn't hear the dog. I can't get the dog to shut up while someone's delivering something.
It's okay.
Ah. That's all right. Should I go out there?
That's okay. Like I have studio sound, which will get rid of all that stuff. So
Yeah. Oh, no, in this part, I just edit that out. But if but it will pick up the dog barking probably. If you can hear it, then the recording will hear it. So you'll stop in a sec. Pain in the ass. Just tell my wife put the dog outside next time. Usually dog's in the office with me.
yeah.
But we had visitors. At least I know where I'm up to. Do not do long reports or speak podiatry needs. They don't care. Oh, come on, shut up.
What minute are we at here? Let me just take a look. 6.
Now, I'm just going to shut this dog up because I don't know.
Okay.
Hang on. Okay.
Keep rolling.
Federal Express. My daughter's been staying with us for the last couple of weeks. Every day there's been a delivery. I said to you yesterday, any more deliveries coming? No, another freaking delivery. And anyway, so here we go. So one tip I always say to people is don't do long reports or get bogged down in podiatry language. They don't care and they don't understand it. So it's easier just to not do that. Just keep it simple. So they just know that, thank you for the referral. If they've come in, this is what you treated. You did the review. These are the results you got. And everybody's basically happy.
No, it's well put. I think if we just talk too much about things they don't care about, it's a waste of your time. It's a waste of their time. So just make sure you're briefing to the point and let them know how you've helped their patient and move on.
Yeah, I remember one of the doctors used to be here in Cairns, and he used to always say to me, you go, oh, can you tell such and such used to work for me? Can you just tell them, please I would rather them not even send a report if they're going to give me a full page of the whole biomechanical assessment and what the subtalar joint was doing and what this was, and the windlass mechanism. And they just went, I don't care. All I want to know is, have you fixed my patient? That's all. Are they out of pain? That's all I really want to know.
Yeah.
And that actually stopped that doctor referring to that particular podiatrist. They would refer to anybody else but them because they said, I'm just sick of their reports. So anyway, the fifth point is make yourself easy to refer to. So have a streamlined referral process. So whether you still want to use referral pads or some form of online form, or is there a QR code that you can send them? They can just click on that and it'll go through to somewhere on your website. And I think this is really important, and not many people do it. Provide a direct contact number and email address to you. So if I was with a patient, if there was doctors that I had a good relationship with, they had my mobile number and I had their details in my phone. So if they wanted to contact me, I'd say, just ring me directly. Your name will pop up on my phone. I will answer it every time you call. Now, it didn't happen very often, but when it did call, and I just say, oh, just excuse me a sec, the local physiotherapist contacted me. Patients were fine with it. It'd take a couple of minutes. But that is just something that not many people will actually do. And I know if I had a physio that said to me, here's my direct number if you need to contact me, and I had a patient in front of me that I thought needed to see them, knowing I could ring them, what makes me look good to the patient as well.
Absolutely. It kind of shows that inner doctor communication, and it can build some trust for sure.
Yeah, well, imagine you saying to them, I've got an inside guy. I know a guy. Everyone knows it, loves it when someone says, I know a guy. It can get you in. I can get you those tickets. I know a guy.
Absolutely.
So, and I think when you first open, this is important to remember, every referral is to you until further notice. So you open up your business, you're going out, you're seeing everybody, you're building up the reputation. You think every referral from every referrer is going to come to you. Even when you employ somebody else, every referral needs to come to you for a period of time until further notice. And that way I loved one's coming to me, and then I might have that patient see another podiatrist in my team. And then we would slowly, once I knew what the other podiatrist, and they built up trust as well, that I'd slowly start letting the referrers know, just let you know, I didn't see that patient. Yeah, John, who works with me, saw them, did a great job. And then until they eventually got to meet them. So I think it's really important. Your team and staff will come and go, but you will always be there. So to me, you always need to be the figurehead of the business. You need to be the name that everybody thinks of. All the referrals come to you. Doesn't mean you have to see the patient though. You then can palm them off. So ensure your clinic, the location, make sure that you've got a great location, the parking's good, and like we were talking about last week, just about having available appointments when somebody is actually having a problem, an emergency.
Yeah, especially when it comes to referrals, you want to make sure they have the best of a chance to have kind of that wow experience with you in your clinic. Because if they're obviously going to talk to their primary care or their physio or whoever referred that person about you, and the more glowing it can be and the more positive it can be, it's probably going to lead to additional referrals in the future if they've had a good experience.
I went somewhere the other day, had to get a test done, and they said, we can't get you in until end of the year, end of December. I went, I said, geez, I'd hate to be dying. And they went, well, if you were dying, we'd get you in within 24 hours. I said, well, is there anyone dying? Has anyone rung up and died and is dying in the last 24 hours? They went, no. I said, well, can you just get me in then? I said, obviously you got some spots there. And they went, that's not really how it works. You got to wait till December. You got to wait another 6 weeks. I'm like, okay, fair enough. It's one of those whinging patients. So anyway, the 6th point is build your personal relationships. So drop in for a coffee with your local physios or trainers if you can. If you know they have a lunch break around 12:30, get to find out through the gatekeepers, where do they normally buy the coffee? How do they have the coffee? Just come buy a coffee. When's their lunch break? You just rock up. And especially the friendlier you get with them is you need to maintain that friendship. Don't take friendships for granted. Because you don't bump into a friend for a couple of years, because are you still friends? You should be maintaining that contact. Try and collaborate on joint workshops, joint programs, whether it's running injury preventions with different coaches. It's even like you and I, Jim, doing this podcast together. This was a collaboration. This is an idea that you had. You reached out to me. I went, yeah, why not? What's the worst that can happen?
3 years later, you're like, a lot of bad.
3 years later, I'm thinking, what's the worst that can happen?
Almost 4, huh? So yeah, it's going strong.
Time flies, doesn't it?
It does.
So 200 something episodes. So support local sporting clubs or events where trainers, physios are going to be involved. We used to go out and volunteer at a lot of marathons and different races in Cairns, because we knew the doctors and physios and the people we wanted to connect with were also in those medical tents. And when there's a downtime, you all sit around, you talk. You get to know each other. And this is all part of not being lazy. And make sure you celebrate your wins, acknowledge and thank referrers for trusting you. So when you do get a really positive result, you make sure you make a big deal about it. You let the referrers know and you thank them again for that referral. And just because someone refers a patient to you and you send a letter back, okay, that's okay. You've ticked a box. The person comes back 6 months later, you might be reviewing something else. You can send a follow-up report. Just say, hey, just let you know 6 months later, this problem's still great. But why limit it to one report?
That's a great point. I really resonate kind of with that. We were talking about we've talked about in the past as far as, trying to find a niche with the type of care you want to provide. Where are those specific patients at? But like you said, it's also with kind of the medical tent or finding these other places where, who else is, kind of interacting with these kind of ideal patients, whether it's other doctors or physios or coaches, and what are those ways to collaborate with them? Like you said, in a marathon tent, maybe it's a workshop about running injuries. Take some time to think about, what are those people doing, and, how could you benefit them by doing something collaborative? Because that's these win-win situations can be really fruitful for both parties. So, take some time to think about that, and the benefits can be more than you could really expect.
Yeah, and that was like my seventh point is just go beyond the clinic, being active in the community at all these different fun runs and give talks to gyms and participate in local health expos. I remember once we had a stand for the podiatry clinic at the was it Tropical North Queensland Banana Expo. Don't normally find a podiatrist at the Banana Expo, so you found out. And a lot of people who were there were saying, wouldn't have expected to see a podiatrist at a Banana Expo. Expect to see a lot of bananas, which we did, and a lot of banana suppliers, and didn't realize how many things were related to bananas. But there was an opportunity to go there. We knew someone that said, hey, we've got a spare site if you want to use it for free. Went, yeah, why not? So when you're out at these things, you are noticed. Other health professionals notice that you're involved in all this. You can do co-branded content with physios, chiropractors, and other running coaches. But the bottom line, and this is what I'm going to finish on, getting referrals is not difficult. It just takes work. But, and here's the big but, most podiatrists will not do it. It's very simple. So have you heard that? If you're listening to this, most of you won't do this. You'll listen to this and go, oh, that was really good, Jim and Tyson. That was a great episode. And then you'll just move on. I was listening to a podcast the other day and it said to me, if you're just devouring content and not taking any action, it's a waste of time. So when you finish, every time you finish a podcast episode, you need to write down one or two things you're going to do and actually just implement one thing from every episode, take some action, and you're going to be way ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, that person that's actually going to, with all the people that aren't going to do anything, that one person that's actually doing something is going to have a huge advantage over those others. So I think that's a pretty motivational way to end things today.
Okay, Big Jim, I look forward to talking to you next week.
Sounds great, Tyson.
Okay, see you later. Bye.
Bye now.